Hey, do you want to make Performopods movies like this?
There's not much time. Is this a trick question?
Well, better than that one. You will make a good Performopods movie. This is true no-budget filmmaking, free software, no fancy equipment. Let's do this. Yeah! What we're going to make in this first part is this, our first Performopod. This is a version of this tutorial for beginners. If you already know how to use Blender, link in the description for the faster expert version. So the first thing we want to do here is I will zoom in on this cube by left clicking and dragging on the zoom in out, and I'll rotate around by left clicking dragging on this object here. And what we first want to do is figure out which is the front of this cube. We'll make it into the front of our Performopod. So I'm going to go up here to View, go down to Viewpoint, and click on Front. So now we know this is the front of the cube, and it does actually make a difference. So now I'm going to rotate around. And now that we know this is the front, I'm going to go up here, click on this menu, and click to enter edit mode. And now all the components of the cube are selected, all the edges, the vertices. So I'm going to click on this button to activate the scaling manipulator. And I'm going to left click and drag on this green handle to scale in the y-axis. And I'm going to scale it down to about like that. And I'm going to click and drag on the red handle to scale in the x-axis and scale it to about that. Okay, now we want to rotate around so we can see the edge and zoom in a little bit more. And now I'm going to come down here to the loop cut tool, left click on that once, hover over this edge here, left click once. Now come over here and click on the move button to activate the move manipulator. Left click and drag on this handle to move this edge to right about here. Click on the loop cut tool once more, left click once. Now I'll come over, click on the move tool again, left click and drag here and move these edges to right about here. Now I want to select both of these new edges we've just made. So I'm going to come up here and click this button to switch to wireframe view. So now we can see all the vertices that make up these two new edges. And come up here to the select menu, come down to box select. That will give us the ability to left click and drag a box around these vertices on this edge to select all of them. Now I'll rotate around to get a front view. Left click on the viewport shading mode to see it shaded again. Then again, click on the scale manipulator. And instead of dragging on any one of these handles, let's just put the cursor inside the white circle and left click and drag to scale proportionally. And I think this is about right. It might help to go to view, go to viewpoint, and look at the front. And now we can see I'd like to even up the top edge with the side edges a little bit. Okay, great. Now I'm going to go back into object mode. I'll rotate around a little bit and exit orthographic mode. And now I'm going to double click on the cube in the outliner here so I can rename it. And I'm going to name it CHAR01, short for character 1. Now we want to make the materials for this Performopod. So I'm going to come down here to the material properties menu, left click, and we'll use this default material that is already assigned to the cube that we just made into our Performopod shape. I will double left click on that to rename it, and I'm going to name it char01 underscore rim, because this is going to be the material for the outer edge or the rim of the Performopod. I name it Caro1 so I know which material this goes to, because objects can share the same material. Now for the rim material, I'm going to come down here, left click on this base color box, and drag this little white dot into the blue to change this to a blue material. You won't see it over here yet. To see it, we need to come up here and click on this button to switch to material preview view. So now that we can see our material, we need to add 2 additional materials. I'm going to click this plus button once more to add another material slot. Click new to add a new material to that material slot. Double click here to rename the material. I'm going to name it Caro1 Front. This will be where our front video goes. And click on this plus button again, add another material slot, add another material with the new button. Double click here and name this Caro1 Back for our back video. And press enter. Now I'm going to temporarily change the back color to a green color, and temporarily left click here to change the front color to a pink material. This is just temporary. It'll help us assign our materials to the object. So now I'm going to come up here, change back to edit mode, and I want to make sure I'm looking at the front of the Performopod. So I'm going to go to view, viewpoint, front once more. This is the front of the Performopod. I'm going to click up here to switch to face selection mode. Now I'll left click to select this entire face right here, and I want the front material to go on it, so I'll left click on the front material and click assign here. Now I'm going to rotate around to the back, left click on this face, left click on the back material, and left click assign. Now we've assigned our materials, but now we need to create 3 UV maps, which will help tell Blender how to put the videos on our Performopod when it comes time to do that. So I'm going to come down here to Object Data Properties, left click here, and right here next to UV maps, left click this little arrow here to expand the UV map area. There is one default UV map here. I'm going to double click on it to rename it, and I'm going to rename it Rim01, because this will be the UV map that defines how the rim is textured. And actually it won't be textured at all because we're just using a solid blue color, but that's beside the point. We still want a separate UV map for it. And I did not name this Caro1 because UV maps are only used by one object. So now I'm going to add a second UV map with this plus button here. Double click here, and this will be used for the front. And add a third UV map. Double click here, and this will be used to tell Blender how to display the back video. All right, we have our 3 UV maps. And now what we want to do is take a quick break from Blender and go and take a quick photo, or actually video, of the front and back of your head. Don't spend too much time doing this. Even a quick selfie would be fine. It's just a temporary image we're going to put here. But what you want to do is make sure that the aspect ratio of the photo that you use is the same aspect ratio as the video that you will eventually use when you're filming the video to put on the Performopod. For example, if your video will be 16:9, which it probably will be, most cameras are, if your photo is 4:3, you will run into problems. So if you're not sure what yours is, that's okay, because what I recommend doing regardless is, instead of taking a photo, take a short video of the front and back of your head. Don't forget to smile. Perfect. Then open this video in VLC Media Player, which is also free, link in the description. Go up to the video menu, click Take Snapshot, and that will give you still images that will be exactly the same aspect ratio as your video. Rename those images to front and back, and we're ready to jump back into Blender. So now we are currently in the layout workspace. So now we want to move over to the shading workspace right here. Left click here, and now I'm going to move and zoom in and center the Performopod by left clicking and dragging here. All right, now we want to work with the materials again, so I'm going to again click the material properties option down here, and if I left click on the rim material here, we can see the nodes that make up that material in this window down here. And you'll see at the bottom of the screen down here, it says middle click, or the middle mouse button to pan the view. You can click and drag the middle mouse button to pan around here. It doesn't say that you can zoom by rolling the mouse wheel, or if you don't have a mouse wheel, press Control and drag middle mouse button. But for the rim material, this is fine. This is a default slightly glossy shader that we've changed to blue. That's fine. We don't need to do anything. But for the front material, I'm going to left click here. That will show us the nodes for this front material. We won't be using the principled BSDF node. So I'm going to left click on this node, go to node, click delete, and then go to add a new node. I'm going to first go to shader, click diffuse, and as soon as you click that, a diffuse node will be stuck to your cursor. Just left click to place it. And I'm going to go to add again, texture, image texture. Again, it'll be stuck to your cursor, left click to place it. And one more node, add, input, UV map. Left click to place that. Now we want to connect all of these nodes, so I'll left click and drag on this little purple circle to connect it to the texture node. Left click on this yellow circle to connect it to the diffuse node's yellow circle, and left click and drag on this green circle to connect it to the surface circle on the material output node. Now that they are all connected up, what we want to do is come over here to the UV map node, left click here, and this will show us all the UV maps that we've created. This is the front material, so we want to select the front UV map. And now here in the image texture node, click on open and select that temporary front photo that you just made. And click open image. And you will see it appear on the object, but it's going to look completely wrong for right now. That's because we need to adjust the UV map, which we will do in a moment. But first we want to set up the back material. So left click on the back material. Again, left click on the principled BSDF. Go to node, select delete, go to add, and you can also copy and paste all these nodes from one material to another, but I'm just going to add them to make sure we're all on the same page. Go to add again, go to shader, diffuse, left click to place. Doesn't matter in what order you add them. You just have to add the UV map node, the diffuse node, and the image texture node. Connect them to the surface on the material output. This is the back material, so we're going to select the back UV map. Click open on the image texture node and select the back photo that you just took. Again, if we rotate around here, you will see it appear on the back, but again, it doesn't look right. We will fix it in a minute, or right now. So let's go up and switch to the UV editing workspace. So this is a new window that we'll work with in a moment, with a lovely view of the back of my head. I need a haircut, but anyway. Over here, this is the regular 3D viewport, but we want to switch back over to material view. But right now I can't actually see the button to do that because it is off the edge of the interface here. If you're having that problem, you'll see if you hover over here, it will tell you at the bottom of the screen that you can click and drag the middle mouse button to pan around in this view, which we'll be doing in a minute. But you can also do that up here too. So you can middle click and drag this over and find the button to switch to material preview mode. Now I'm going to come down here to the UV Maps menu, left click on that arrow to expand it again. And let's work on the RIM UV map real quickly first. What you want to do is come over here and make sure you're still in edit mode. Go to select and select all to select all parts of the object. And we can use the mouse wheel here to zoom out in this view. And now with this RIM UV map selected, let's go up to UV, Smart UV Project. And when this little menu opens, uncheck Stretch to UV Bounds and click OK. Now over here you'll see that the RIM UV map has basically unpacked this object's UV map, so now we can use this kind of disassembled version of this object in 2D, of a 3D object, and we can use this to tell Blender how to display texture maps. But for the RIM, we don't need a texture map. If we want one, we can do that later, but for now, let's go and fix the other UV maps. So let's click on the front UV map. Again, everything is still selected. If it's not, go to select all again and go to UV map, Smart UV Project again. Stretch to UV Bounds is already deselected. So now click OK. And you'll see that the front UV map has actually changed. So what we want to do now, we're still in edit mode, we're still in face selection mode. Let's just click on this front face. And you can see that this view over here helpfully switched over to the front image that we loaded. And now we can go up here to select all. Left click here to get a movement manipulator. Left click and drag within the white circle here. Move this over here. And you can see over here it's beginning to line itself up. Left click here to get the rotate manipulator. Left click and drag inside this white line and rotate it around. We can also rotate around here to get a better view. And you can even use this to correct if your camera was crooked, which mine was, so that's pretty convenient. All right, so that is all done with the front UV map. Now we need to do it with the back UV map. We'll left click here, go to select all again. Let's rotate around to the back, go to UV, Smart UV Project. Okay, now let's left click on this back image, and you can see again it helpfully switched to the back image view. So now we can go again to select all, select the movement manipulator, left click and drag here, select the rotate manipulator, rotate around the other way, and center it up the way you'd like it to be centered. That looks about right to me. Now, we are in the home stretch. Let's go back to the layout workspace. Left click up here, and we can see our Performopod is done. But the thing about this is that each one of these squares on the grid is 1 meter in Blender units. So that would mean like my head is almost 1 meter wide. That's not really accurate. So let's go up to view, viewpoint, front. So, and now let's zoom out a little bit and pan down a little bit. And we could just say I'm about 1.78 meters tall, so we could just eyeball it knowing that one of these squares is a meter. But we can also go over here, click the measure tool, and left click and drag here, and this will actually give us a very nice little measurement of this area. So with that in mind, I'm going to select the scale tool and left click and drag within the white circle to scale proportionately. And so I am going to call that good enough. No one will notice if it's slightly off. And just one more thing regarding the scale. If we left click on this little arrow right here, we can see this menu where we can see values representing the location, rotation, scale, and dimensions. The dimensions are a consistent measurement of the size of the object in meters as represented in Blender. The scale value is actually a relative value. It's like a percentage. A value of 1 is like 100% of the base size of the object, whereas these values of 0.205 is like about 20% of the base size. We just scaled the Performopod to be what we want, so we want this to be the base scale. So with the object selected, go to Object, go to Apply, and click Scale. Now that didn't actually change the size of the object. The dimensions are still the same, but now the scale values are all 1, so this is the base size, which will make our lives easier in the future. So with that, we are done. So please subscribe and hit the bell if you'd like to see more Performopods tutorials so you can make the next or the first great Performopods movie. With the Performopods method, you can make movies with friends from across the street, across the world, or all by yourself. Play every part like I usually have to. And if you want, you can make movies that are 4K, 3D, HDR, high frame rate, VR, all the crazy gimmicks that only huge movie studios used to have access to, now within your grasp. True, no-budget filmmaking with real live performances, simple motion captured animation that doesn't really need any special equipment, and CGI everything else for limitless possibilities for sets and props. Be one of the first to join the Performopods revolution. Yeah!